Alright, so let's cut to the chase, okay? I'm deeply concerned by the speed at which the virus is spreading, and especially the fact that the government expenditure is taking a hike and everybody's coming after us. So I really want to hear what you guys have got for me.
So I hear you guys need a sorting system. Let me have a crack at it. I see that the deceased are aged all 43 and above, and the respiratory diseases are 7 out of 20 of them. That's 35%. Is the data completely comprehensive?
The data set is not comprehensive, but this is all the reliable data that we have. We need to identify trends from the limited information. Statistically speaking, the average Singaporean takes up only 3 MC in an entire year. Since we only have access to this data to determine how weak their immune system is, we should definitely include this in our sorting system. We also need to consider more criteria to determine each person's level of priority.
Okay, how about departments?
I think that the department that a staff belongs in should determine his priority level. For instance, departments like surgery or ICU should definitely go into high priority because they have a higher level of contact with patients.
We should definitely consider whether one has been infected before, with reference to COVID-19. Infected and recovered patients will build up antibodies internally, making them less vulnerable to the infectious disease. Thus, this will also lower their priority in the vaccination. Whereas...
Wait a minute, what about me? I'm from the F&B department and don't have any special Hachu virus medical insurance, and I also have so many children and elderly at home. Will I get the vaccine?
You should not be getting preferential treatment just because you are insured. This is a matter of life and death, so this kind of external confounder shouldn't be used to affect any of our decision. We are also not able to assess every single risk element of your life because it will just be too inefficient and tedious on our end.
What? But that's completely unfair. I work in this hospital too. Why should they get the vaccine and not me? I'm just as important as they are.
That's true. However, I believe that the criteria we've chosen is the most objective. Rather than in number of family members that you live with, I think it's completely unethical and unacceptable to do so.
Whoa, okay, calm down. Fine. But if I end up catching the virus, it's on you guys.
Here we have the 3 most critical determinants that we will use to build our tree diagram. First of all, we have the departments, which is the most important as it determines the amount of exposure risk a staff faces on an everyday basis. Secondly, we have the age, which is the most consistent factor among the data of the deceased. And thirdly, we have respiratory diseases, which also seems to be a very consistent factor in the data of the deceased. If you have any of these 2 factors, you'll be classified as a high priority. We then use the number of MCs to filter between whether you go into medium or low priority, as it is a good but a rather vague indicator of health. As long as you are in these departments, you have a higher risk of contracting the virus, so you have more criteria if you want to go into low priority. In comparison, there is only 2 criteria that you have to fulfill in order to be placed into the low priority, as this low priority are for people who are the most resistant to the virus.
Wait. Why only these few departments? I don't want a civil war in my hospital.
Staff in this department will definitely have much more direct contact with patients as compared to departments such as logistics and F&B. The increased exposure they have to patients will increase their likelihood of catching the virus.
Sorry to interrupt, but we have a huge problem. 80% of the vaccines that we ordered have degraded. Now only 15 usable vaccines are available. So we need a system to pick the first 15 recipients. Any ideas?
Seriously, this is giving me a headache. Okay, so no. We're just gonna go by alphabetical order and nobody's gonna get hurt. Okay? Nobody's gonna get hurt. Please.
Sorry, boss, if I may. I think this isn't very effective. Here's an idea. From the list of the deceased staff that we have,
all of them were over 40 years old. So how about we just distribute the vaccine from the eldest to the youngest?
Oh, does this mean that I can get the vaccine soon? I'm 46 years old and I have a past history of respiratory diseases.
Okay, then what should we do if we have two people who are of the same age? We can't pick favorites, right?
Personnel who are from these departments will be prioritized. Which department are you from?
I'm from ICU.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to how you came out with the two criteria to decide who of the 26 will get the vaccine first.
From the tree diagram, we have already determined the two most important criteria.
These two criteria are closely linked with each other. For instance, a staff from the ICU department will likely come into contact with an infectious patient, making them more vulnerable. Similarly, someone who's above the age of 40 years old will likely have a weaker immune system, making them an easy target for the virus.
So, by that logic, it means that the more criteria you fulfill, the more susceptible you are?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Using these two criteria, we are able to narrow down the list of 26 high priority staff into the first 15 who will receive our first batch of vaccines.
In that case, congratulations, Cinnamon! As you fulfill both criteria, you will be one of the 15 to receive our first batch of vaccines.